The vast darkness of space held secrets that most beings would never know. Deep in the empty void between star systems, a massive ship drifted silently through the black. The ship was enormous, stretching nearly 12 kilometers from front to back. Its hull was dark gray metal, scarred by hundreds of years of tiny impacts from space dust and debris. This was the UHS Leviathan, a human supercarrier that had been lost to time itself. Inside the ship's cold corridors, everything was quiet except for the soft hum of life support systems. In the medical bay, rows of white pods lined the walls. Each pod held a sleeping human, frozen in time by advanced technology. They had been asleep for so long that dust had settled on the glass covers of their sleeping chambers. Suddenly, deep in the ship's computer core, something changed. A signal had reached the Leviathan from far away. The ship's artificial intelligence, called Oracle, processed the information quickly. The signal matched patterns stored in its memory banks from long ago. This triggered something that had been waiting for centuries. Warning lights began to flash red throughout the ship. Machines that had been dormant started to wake up. The first sleeping pod began to warm up, its systems coming back to life after 847 years. Captain Jake Morrison was the first to open his eyes. The world was blurry and cold. His throat felt dry as sand and his muscles ached like he had been sleeping on rocks. Slowly, the glass cover of his pod lifted with a soft hiss of escaping air. "Welcome back, Captain Morrison," said a calm voice from speakers in the ceiling. It was Oracle, the ship's computer brain. Morrison tried to speak but only made a croaking sound. He sat up slowly, his head spinning. Everything felt wrong. The last thing he remembered was saying goodbye to his crew before entering the sleep pods. They were supposed to wake up at their destination in 50 years. "Oracle," Morrison finally managed to say, his voice rough. "Status report. How long were we asleep?" There was a pause that seemed to last forever. "Captain, you have been in cryogenic sleep for 847 years, 4 months, and 16 days. Morrison's blood turned to ice. "That's impossible. We were only supposed to sleep for 50 years. What happened to our mission?" "The mission parameters changed, Captain. The galaxy we knew no longer exists. I will wake the senior staff now. You will need their counsel." Over the next hour, 4 more pods opened. Lieutenant Commander Lisa Harper came awake next, followed by Chief Engineer Danny Torres, Dr. Amy Carter, and Sergeant Major Rick Stone. Each person went through the same shock Morrison had experienced. The impossible had happened. They had slept through centuries. The 5 humans gathered in the ship's command center. The room was large and filled with screens showing star maps and sensor readings. Morrison sat in the captain's chair, still trying to understand what Oracle had told them. "Show us what's out there," Morrison ordered. The main screen lit up with a map of local space. But nothing looked familiar. The star patterns were different. The trade routes they knew were gone. Instead, the map showed 3 large colored areas, each representing something new and unknown. "The galaxy has been divided between 3 major powers," Oracle explained. "The Zephyrian hegemony controls the northern sectors. They believe in strict social order and worship technology as divine gifts. The Corvan Dominion holds the eastern regions. They are a military culture that values strength above all else. The Ethereal Collective occupies the southern areas. Little is known about them as they rarely communicate with outsiders." Harper studied the navigation charts. "Oracle, what happened to Earth? What happened to the human colonies?" "According to intercepted communications, humanity is believed to be extinct. The last human colonies were destroyed approximately 600 years ago. The current galactic powers built their civilizations using technology salvaged from human ruins." Dr. Carter leaned forward. "They're using our technology?" "Yes, but incorrectly. They copied human designs without understanding how they work. Their ships are inefficient. Their weapons waste energy. Their computers are primitive compared to human standards from your era." Torres whistled softly. "So they've been flying around in cheap copies of our stuff for centuries?" "That is correct, Chief Torres." Stone crossed his arms. "Captain, what's our situation? Are we in danger?" Morrison looked at the sensor displays. The Leviathan was completely invisible to the primitive sensors used by the alien powers. Their stealth technology was centuries ahead of anything the current galaxy possessed. "We're safe for now," Morrison said. "Oracle, show us recent battle data." The screen changed to show recordings of space battles between the three powers. Morrison and his crew watched in horror as thousands of ships destroyed each other in wasteful, chaotic fights. The aliens used terrible tactics, throwing their forces away in meaningless charges. Their weapons were powerful but crude, destroying everything instead of targeting specific systems. "This is madness," Harper whispered. "They're fighting like barbarians with advanced weapons. These conflicts have been ongoing for 200 years, Oracle reported. Billions of beings have died. The current war is over control of star systems that contain ruins of human colonies." Morrison felt sick. "They're fighting over our graves." The captain stood up and walked to the large window that looked out into space. In the distance, he could see the lights of alien ships moving through space. They had no idea that a human vessel was watching them. "Captain," Dr. Carter said quietly, "what do we do? We're the last humans in the galaxy." Morrison was quiet for a long time. The weight of responsibility pressed down on him like a mountain. His crew looked to him for answers, but he felt lost. They were just 5 people in a vast galaxy full of aliens who had built their entire civilization on the bones of humanity. "We observe," Morrison finally said. "We learn everything we can about these 3 powers. We find out how strong they are, how they think, what they want. Then we decide what to do." "And if they discover us?" Stone asked. Morrison turned back to his crew. "Then we'll deal with that when it happens, but right now we have advantages they can't imagine. Our technology is centuries ahead of theirs. Our ship could probably defeat entire fleets. But before we do anything, we need to understand what we're dealing with." Oracle's voice filled the room again. "Captain, I should mention one more thing. Long-range sensors have detected energy signatures consistent with human technology in several hidden locations throughout the galaxy. It is possible that some humans survived." For the first time since waking up, Morrison smiled. Then we're not alone after all. The galaxy had forgotten humanity, but humanity had returned. The question now was what they would do with that knowledge. For 3 weeks, the Leviathan drifted silently through space like a ghost watching the living. Captain Morrison had ordered complete stealth mode while his crew studied the alien civilizations that now ruled the galaxy. Every day brought new discoveries, and each one made Morrison more amazed at how wrong everything had gone. Lieutenant Commander Harper spent her days in the communications center, surrounded by screens full of alien text and voices. The ship's computers were incredibly advanced, able to learn languages faster than any human could. Within days, Harper could understand basic conversations in all 3 alien languages. "The Zephyrians are interesting," Harper reported to Morrison during their daily briefing. "They think technology is magic given to them by their gods. They don't understand how anything works. They just follow ancient manuals they found in human ruins." "What kind of manuals?" Morrison asked. "Basic operation guides. The kind of simple instructions we used to give to new recruits. They treat these like holy books." Chief Engineer Torres had been studying recordings of alien ships and weapons. He sat at his workstation, shaking his head in disbelief. "Captain, you need to see this," Torres said, pulling up a hologram of a Corvan battleship. "This ship is supposed to be their most advanced warship, but look at this design." The hologram showed a massive vessel covered in weapons and armor. It looked threatening, but Torres pointed out the problems. "See these engine ports? They're copying a human cargo ship design, but they're trying to use it for a battleship. The power system can't handle the weapons they've attached. Half their energy is wasted as heat. And look at these weapon placements. They actually block each other's firing angles." Morrison studied the hologram. "How do these ships even function?" "Badly," Torres replied. "I've been watching their combat footage. Their ships break down constantly. Their weapons overheat. Their shields fail because they don't understand how to balance the power systems. It's like watching children play with tools they found in Their father's workshop. Dr. Carter had been analyzing biological data about the three alien species. She had discovered something even more disturbing. The aliens aren't just using our technology, Carter said. They've been changing themselves to try to match human capabilities. The Zephyrians have been using genetic therapy to make themselves smarter, but they're doing it wrong. The Corvins have been adding cybernetic implants to make themselves stronger, but the implants are killing them slowly. What about the ethereal collective? Morrison asked. Carter's expression grew sad. That's the most interesting part. I've been studying their genetic patterns from the few samples Oracle intercepted. Captain, I think some of them might actually be human. The room went quiet. Morrison felt his heart skip a beat. Explain. The genetic markers suggest they're descendants of human colonists who survived somehow. They've been hiding for centuries, probably pretending to be a different species to avoid being destroyed like the other human colonies. Sergeant Major Stone had been studying the military tactics of all three powers. As a career soldier, what he found made him angry. These aliens fight like idiots, Stone reported. They send massive fleets against each other and just shoot until one side dies. No strategy, no tactics, just brute force. I've seen militia groups on frontier worlds fight smarter than these so-called military powers. Morrison absorbed all this information. The picture it painted was both sad and frightening. The galaxy had spent 6 centuries building civilization on technology they didn't understand, ruled by people who had no idea what they were doing. Oracle, Morrison said, show us the current battle situation. The main screen displayed a tactical map of nearby space. 2 large fleets were moving toward each other near a star system called Kepler 442. The Zephyrian and Corvin forces were preparing for what looked like a massive battle. Estimated fleet sizes? Morrison asked. The Zephyrian force contains approximately 4,000 ships. The Corvin force contains approximately 3,500 ships. Intelligence suggests this battle will determine control of the Kepler system, which contains ruins of 3 human colonies. Harper looked up from her station. Captain, I'm intercepting communications from both fleets. They're not just fighting over territory. They think there's some kind of ultimate weapon hidden in those ruins. What kind of weapon? Torres answered. Probably a human manufacturing plant or research station. To them, anything humans built would seem like a superweapon. Morrison watched the alien fleets moving toward their battle. In a few hours, thousands of ships would destroy each other fighting over scraps of human civilization. Millions of beings would die because their leaders were too proud and too ignorant to work together. Captain, Dr. Carter said quietly, we could stop this. Morrison looked at her. What do you mean? The Leviathan is more advanced than anything in those fleets. We could disable both sides without killing anyone. We could force them to talk instead of fight. Stone nodded. The docks, right, sir. Our weapons could shut down their ships without destroying them. Their technology is so primitive that a focused electromagnetic pulse would knock out their systems completely. But if we reveal ourselves, Harper said, the entire galaxy will, though humans still exist, that will change everything. Morrison stood up and walked to the observation window. Outside, space looked peaceful, but he knew that in a few hours it would be filled with explosions and death. 2 fleets of aliens would destroy each other using weapons they barely understood, built from technology stolen from human graves. Oracle, Morrison said, analyze the tactical situation. If we intervened in this battle, what would be the likely outcome? Based on current fleet compositions and the Leviathan's capabilities, you could disable both fleets within approximately 17 minutes. Casualties would be minimal if you targeted their power systems rather than their weapons. Morrison thought about his crew sleeping in the pods throughout the ship. He thought about the humans who might still be hiding somewhere in the galaxy. He thought about the billions of aliens who had been dying in pointless wars for 2 centuries. Captain, Torres said, there's something else. I've been analyzing the quantum signatures of their technology. All of it, every single piece, comes from human designs. These civilizations exist because of us. In a way, we're responsible for what they've become. Morrison closed his eyes. The weight of decision pressed down on him. They could stay hidden and let the galaxy continue to tear itself apart. or they could reveal themselves and try to fix the mess that had been made from humanity's legacy. When he opened his eyes, Morrison's expression was determined. All hands, prepare for combat operations. We're going to stop this battle. Harper turned in her chair. Sir, are you sure about this? Morrison nodded. These aliens have been fighting with our technology for 600 years without understanding it. Maybe it's time they met the people who actually know how to use it. The Leviathan began to change course, heading toward the approaching battle. For the first time in centuries, humanity was about to make its presence known to the galaxy. The space around Kepler 442 erupted into chaos as two massive fleets met in battle. Thousands of ships from the Zephyrian hegemony and Corvan dominion fired at each other with weapons that turned the darkness of space into a light show of destruction. Explosions bloomed like deadly flowers as ships died by the dozens. Captain Morrison stood on the bridge of the Leviathan, watching the carnage through the main view screen. His crew worked quietly at their stations, preparing for something that would change the galaxy forever. Distance to the battle zone? Morrison asked. 15,000 kilometers and closing, Harper reported from her navigation station. Both fleets are fully engaged. They haven't noticed us yet. Torres monitored the alien ship's performance from his engineering console. Captain, their weapons are overheating just like I predicted. I'm seeing power failures throughout both fleets. Half of these ships will destroy themselves if this keeps up. Dr. Carter watched the medical readouts with growing horror. The casualty numbers are climbing fast. At this rate, over 2 million beings will be dead in the next hour. Morrison had seen enough. Oracle, begin decloak sequence. Charge all defensive systems. Prepare electromagnetic pulse weapons. Acknowledged, Captain. All systems coming online. The Leviathan's stealth field began to fade. Slowly, the massive human supercarrier became visible to the sensors of both alien fleets. At first, nobody noticed one more ship appearing in the middle of a battle involving thousands. But as the Leviathan's true size became clear, everything changed. The ship was enormous, dwarfing even the largest alien battleships. Its hull was sleek and dark, covered with weapon ports and sensor arrays that looked nothing like the crude copies the aliens used. Advanced energy fields shimmered around it like liquid light. Sir, Harper said, both fleets have stopped firing at each other. All their sensors are focused on us now. Morrison opened a communication channel to both fleets. When he spoke, his words were broadcast in perfect Zephyrian and Corvan languages. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the human vessel Leviathan. You are fighting with stolen technology that you barely understand. Cease hostilities immediately, and we will show you a better way. The response was immediate and angry. Both fleet commanders began shouting questions and demands. How were humans still alive? Where had the ship come from? Who did these humans think they were to interfere in galactic affairs? Admiral Vex of the Corvan fleet was the first to act. Unknown. Vessel, you will surrender immediately or be destroyed. The Corvan Dominion does not negotiate with extinct species. Admiral Thys of the Zephyrian fleet was equally hostile. This is impossible. Humans were destroyed centuries ago. You must be imposters using some kind of trick. Prepare to face the holy fire of our divine weapons. Morrison sighed. Oracle, how many weapon locks do we have on us? Approximately 7,412 weapons are now targeting the Leviathan from both fleets. Stone grinned from his tactical station. They really don't learn, do they? Morrison tried once more. Final warning. Stand down. Your weapons and prepare to talk. You don't understand what you're dealing with. Instead of listening, both fleets opened fire. The space around the Leviathan filled with energy beams, missiles, and projectiles. Every weapon in both fleets targeted the human ship. It was the most concentrated attack in galactic history, enough firepower to destroy a moon. None of it mattered. The Leviathan's defensive systems absorbed every shot. Advanced energy shields turned the alien weapons into nothing more than light shows. Missiles were destroyed by point defense systems before they could even get close. The most powerful weapons in two galactic empires couldn't even scratch the human ship's paint. Shields at 100%, Torres reported calmly. Actually, we're at 103%. Their weapons are charging our power cells. Morrison shook his head in amazement. The aliens were so far behind human technology that their most advanced weapons were actually helping the Leviathan. Time for a demonstration, Morrison said. Oracle, prepare targeted electromagnetic pulse, disable every ship in both fleets. No permanent damage, just knock out their power systems. Ready, Captain. Fire. What happened next would be talked about across the galaxy for centuries. The Leviathan released a pulse of energy that was invisible to the eye but devastating to electronics. The pulse spread out in all directions, washing over both alien fleets like a wave. Every single alien ship stopped working at the same time. Engines went dead, weapons powered down. Life support switched to emergency backup. Navigation systems failed. Communication arrays went silent. In less than 5 seconds, 2 of the most powerful fleets in galactic history had been reduced to helpless metal boxes, floating in space. The only systems still working were basic life support and emergency communications. Morrison had specifically designed the pulse to leave those systems alone. He wanted to disable the fleets, not murder their crews. Both fleets are dead in space, Harper reported. No casualties, but every ship is completely powerless. Morrison opened communications again. This time his voice reached every person in both fleets through their emergency systems. I warned you, Morrison said. You have been using human technology for 600 years without understanding it. Your weapons, your ships, your computers, all of it was built by humans. You copied our designs like children copying homework, but you never learned how any of it actually works. The communication channels filled with panicked voices. Fleet commanders demanded explanations. Ship captains reported total system failures. Soldiers wondered if they were about to die in the cold of space. Morrison continued. Your power systems will restart in 12 hours. That should give you time to think about what just happened. One human ship disabled both your fleets without firing a shot. We did it by using the same technology you've been copying, except we actually understand how it works. Dr. Carter opened a medical channel. This is Dr. Amy Carter of the Leviathan. We're monitoring your life support systems. Everyone is safe. No one will die today because of what we've done. Admiral Vex's voice came through the static. This is impossible. Human technology cannot be this advanced. Torres laughed. Admiral, the technology you call advanced is 800 years old by our standards. You've been flying around in antiques. Morrison made his final announcement. The age of ignorance is over. You can continue fighting pointless wars with technology you don't understand, or you can learn from the people who created it. The choice is yours. He closed the communication channel and turned to his crew. Well, Harper said, I guess there's no going back now. The entire galaxy will know about this in hours, Stone added. Every government, every military, every news service. Morrison nodded. Good, let them know. It's time for the galaxy to grow up. On the view screen, thousands of disabled alien ships floated helplessly in space. Their crews would have 12 hours to think about what had happened, 12 hours to realize that everything they thought they knew about technology and power was wrong. Oracle's voice filled the bridge. Captain, I am detecting emergency broadcasts from both fleets. News of this encounter is already spreading across subspace communication networks. What are they saying? Morrison asked. The reports vary, but the basic message is the same. Humanity has returned, and they are more powerful than anyone imagined. Morrison looked out at the stars. Somewhere in that vast galaxy, other humans might be hiding, waiting for a sign that they were not alone. Today, they would get that sign. The demonstration was over. Now came the hard part, dealing with the consequences. The news spread across the galaxy faster than anyone thought possible. Within hours of the battle at Kepler 442, every civilized world knew the same shocking truth. Humanity was alive, and they had technology beyond imagination. Captain Morrison sat in his ready room aboard the Leviathan, reading reports that Oracle collected from across galactic space. The reactions were exactly what he had expected. Chaos, fear, and anger from the leaders, but something different from the common people. Captain, Harper called from the bridge. "You need to see this." Morrison walked onto the bridge to find his crew gathered around the main screen. It showed a live broadcast from Zephyr Prime, the capital world of the Zephyrian hegemony. The planet's surface was covered with massive cities, but something was wrong. Smoke rose from several districts, and crowds of people filled the streets. The Zephyrian people were rioting. "What's happening down there?" Morrison asked. Oracle translated the alien news broadcasts. "The Zephyrian population has learned that their divine technology actually came from humans. They are demanding answers from their religious leaders about why they were lied to for centuries." Similar scenes were playing out across Corvin space. Military bases were in revolt as soldiers questioned orders from commanders who had just been defeated by a single human ship. The rigid military hierarchy that held the Dominion together was cracking. But the most interesting news came from ethereal, collective space. For the first time in 200 years, the mysterious leaders of the collective had agreed to meet with outsiders. They wanted to talk to the humans. "Captain," Dr. Carter said, looking up from her medical station, "I'm getting some very strange readings from the collective territories. There are massive energy signatures appearing all over their space." Torres checked his engineering displays. "Those aren't weapon signatures. They look like, ships coming out of hiding?" Morrison felt his heart race. Oracle analyzed those energy patterns. The quantum signatures are consistent with advanced human technology. However, the designs appear to be variants that evolved differently from standard human engineering. "Survivors," Morrison whispered. "They're real." Before anyone could respond, the ship's communication system activated. A new voice filled the bridge, human, but speaking with an accent that sounded ancient and formal. "Human vessel Leviathan, this is Elder Sarah Kim of the Preservation Fleet. We have been waiting for this day for 600 years. Morrison almost couldn't speak. "This is Captain Jake Morrison. Are you? We are the descendants of the colony. Ship New Horizon. When the aliens destroyed the outer colonies, we went into hiding. We have been protecting the last humans in the galaxy, waiting for the day when humanity would return to reclaim what was stolen." Dr. Carter wiped tears from her eyes. "How many of you are there?" "Across 17 hidden colonies, approximately 2 million human survivors. We have preserved human culture, human technology, and human knowledge. But we could never act openly until now." Torres leaned forward. "What changed?" Elder Kim's voice carried both sadness and hope. "Your demonstration at Kepler 442 proved that humanity still has the strength to stand against the galaxy's powers. The aliens can no longer pretend we don't exist." Over the next several days, more and more hidden human settlements revealed themselves. Some were underground cities on barren worlds. Others were space stations hidden in asteroid fields. A few were entire colonies that had been pretending to be alien species for centuries. Each group had survived differently. Some had focused on preserving human technology. Others had saved human art, music, and literature. The largest group, calling itself the Heritage Foundation, had been secretly helping alien populations learn to use human technology properly. "The aliens have been hurting themselves for centuries," explained Dr. Marcus Webb of the Heritage Foundation during a video call. "We've been leaving anonymous technical manuals and safety guides wherever we could, but they were too proud to admit they needed help." Morrison found himself in an impossible position. Representatives from all 3 alien governments wanted to meet with him. Hidden human colonies were asking for his leadership. The galaxy's entire political structure was collapsing, and everyone seemed to expect him to fix it. "I'm a ship captain," Morrison told his crew during their daily briefing. "I'm not qualified to run a galaxy. Maybe that's exactly why you should do it," Stone replied. "The people who wanted to run the galaxy are the ones who messed it up in the first place." 3 weeks after the demonstration, Morrison made a decision that would change everything. He sent a message to every government, every colony, and every ship in the galaxy. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the human starship Leviathan. I speak for humanity, both those who have returned from the void and those who never left. For 600 years this galaxy has been at war. You have fought with weapons you didn't understand, using technology you couldn't repair, following leaders who cared more about power than people. The message was broadcast simultaneously across thousands of worlds and millions of ships. This ends now. Humanity offers the galaxy a choice. You can continue your path of ignorance and destruction, or you can learn to build something better. We will teach you to use technology safely. We will show you how to solve problems without violence. We will help you create a civilization based on cooperation instead of conquest. Morrison paused, letting his words sink in across the galaxy. But understand this. We will not allow the galaxy to return to its old ways. The age of ignorant warfare is over. Any government that tries to restart the old conflicts will find themselves facing not just one human ship, but the entire human species working together. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within hours, the three major governments sent formal requests for peace negotiations. Smaller powers begged to be included in whatever new system humanity would create. Even pirate groups and criminal organizations asked for amnesty in exchange for giving up their stolen human technology. But not everyone was happy with the changes. Admiral Vex of the Corvan Dominion sent a different kind of message. Humanity may have advanced technology, Vex declared, but they are only a few thousand people against billions of us. The Corvan Dominion will never bow to inferior numbers. Morrison wasn't surprised. There were always those who preferred the old ways, even when the old ways led to disaster. Oracle, Morrison said. How many Corvan ships are still loyal to Admiral Vex? Approximately 30% of the Corvan fleet concentrated in the outer territories. However, intelligence reports suggest that many Corvan soldiers are refusing to follow orders that might lead to conflict with humanity. Harper looked up from her station. Captain, we're receiving a priority message from Elder Kim. Put her through. Elder Kim's face appeared on the main screen. Behind her, Morrison could see what looked like a massive shipyard full of vessels with sleek, advanced designs. Captain Morrison, the preservation fleet is ready to support you. We have been building ships and training crews for this day for 6 centuries. If Admiral Vex wants a fight, we can give him one. Morrison shook his head. No more fighting. We've already proven that violence isn't the answer. Then what do you suggest? Morrison smiled. We're going to give the galaxy exactly what we promised. We're going to teach them how to build a better future, starting with Admiral Vex and his rebels. He turned to his crew. Set course for the Corvan Outer Territories. It's time for the final lesson. 6 months had passed since the day the Leviathan appeared in the galaxy and changed everything. The space around the former battle zone at Kepler 442 looked completely different now. Where once there had been wreckage and death, massive construction, ships worked together to build something new. Captain Morrison stood on the observation deck of the newly completed Harmony Station, watching ships from dozens of different species work side by side. The station was enormous, designed to serve as the capital of the new Galactic Cooperative Council. But more importantly, it was a symbol of what the galaxy could accomplish when people worked together instead of fighting. The construction teams finished the Cultural Exchange Center this morning, Harper reported, joining Morrison at the viewing window. She now served as the Director of Galactic Navigation, helping to map safe travel routes for the thousands of civilian ships that moved between worlds every day. Any problems with the mixed crews? Morrison asked. Harper smiled. Actually, the alien workers keep asking the human engineers to slow down their explanations. Apparently, we teach too fast. Morrison laughed. Teaching had become humanity's greatest contribution to the galaxy. Not weapons, not conquest, but education. Human engineers worked with alien technicians to rebuild their ships properly. Human doctors shared medical knowledge that saved millions of lives. Human scientists helped alien researchers understand the technology they had been copying for centuries. Torres appeared at Morrison's other side, wiping grease from his hands. As head of the Galactic Engineering Corps, he spent most of his time traveling between worlds, fixing problems that had existed for centuries. The Zephyrian power grid project is complete, Torres announced. Their energy efficiency just improved by 300%. No more blackouts, no more overloaded systems. How are they handling the changes? Morrison asked. Better than expected. Once they realized that understanding technology was better than worshipping it, they became some of our best students. The Corvin engineers are still struggling with the concept of cooperation, but they're learning. Morrison nodded. The transformation hadn't been easy for anyone. Admiral Vex had tried to resist the changes, gathering loyal Corvin ships for one final stand against human influence. But when Morrison arrived at the Corvin border, he hadn't come alone. The preservation fleet had emerged from hiding in full force. 200 ships of advanced human design, crewed by the descendants of the original colonies. But instead of weapons, they carried construction equipment, medical supplies, and teachers. Admiral Vex, Morrison had broadcast to the rebel fleet, "You have a choice. Fight us and lose everything, or let us show you how to build something better." The battle had lasted exactly 12 minutes. But instead of destroying the Corvin ships, the human fleet had simply surrounded them and begun broadcasting technical manuals that showed the Corvin engineers how to fix their failing systems. When Vex's own flagship started working properly for the first time in decades, the rebellion collapsed. Now, 6 months later, former Admiral Vex worked as a military advisor to the Galactic Cooperative Council. He had become one of humanity's strongest supporters after seeing what proper leadership could accomplish. Dr. Carter walked up to the group, carrying a data pad filled with medical reports. As head of the Galactic Medical Alliance, she had been working to establish healthcare systems on worlds that had never had proper medicine. "The hospital ship program is exceeding all expectations," Carter announced. "We've reduced disease-related deaths by 60% across the participating worlds. The alien medics are incredibly eager to learn proper techniques." "What about the psychological effects of all these changes?" Morrison asked. Carter's expression grew more serious. "That's more complicated. Some populations are handling the transition well. They're excited about learning and growing. But others are struggling with the realization that their entire civilization was built on misunderstandings." Morrison understood. Learning that your entire way of life was wrong wasn't easy for anyone, but it was necessary if the galaxy was going to move forward. Stone approached the group, wearing the uniform of the Galactic Peacekeeping Forces. His job was perhaps the most important of all, preventing conflicts before they could turn into wars. "We had another breakthrough today," Stone reported. "The Ethereal Collective formally revealed their true nature to their own people. Turns out about 40% of their population is actually human descendants who've been hiding their identity for centuries." Morrison felt a familiar surge of pride mixed with sadness. How are they handling the revelation? Better than expected. Apparently, most of the younger generation suspected something was different about their leaders. Finding out they're part human explains a lot of things that never made sense before. The group fell silent for a moment, looking out at the construction work below. Ships from the Zephyrian hegemony worked alongside vessels from the Corvin Dominion and the Ethereal Collective. Human ships moved between them, offering assistance and guidance. "Oracle," Morrison said, activating the station's communication system. "What's the current status of galactic conflicts?" "Zero active wars, Captain. The last territorial dispute was resolved through negotiation 3 weeks ago. Current tensions are at the lowest level in recorded galactic history." Harper shook her head in amazement. "I still can't believe it worked." "What worked?" Morrison asked. "Your plan. Using knowledge instead of force to change everything." Morrison looked out at the busy space around them. "It wasn't really a plan. We just showed people that there was a better way to do things." Torres grinned. "Don't be so modest, Captain. You basically reorganized galactic civilization without firing a shot." "We all did it," Morrison corrected. "Every human who came out of hiding, every alien who was willing to learn, every person who chose cooperation over conflict." Dr. Carter pulled up a holographic display showing statistics from across the galaxy. Trade between species is up 400%. Scientific collaboration has increased by 600%. Educational exchange programs have waiting lists years long. And piracy is down to almost nothing, Stone added. Hard to be a successful pirate when every ship in the galaxy has working security systems. Morrison walked to the center of the observation deck. where a small memorial had been built. It honored the billions of beings who had died in the centuries of pointless warfare before humanity's return. Names from dozens of species were carved into the black stone surface. "Do you think we did the right thing?" Morrison asked his crew. "We completely changed galactic civilization. We destroyed governments, ended wars, and forced entire species to question everything they believed." Harper joined him at the memorial. "Captain, look out there." Morrison looked through the window at the construction site below. Alien children were playing together in the station's observation areas while their parents worked side by side. Species that had been enemies for centuries were laughing together over shared meals. "Those kids will grow up in a galaxy where war is just something they read about in history books," Harper continued. "They'll have opportunities their parents never dreamed of. They'll work together to solve problems instead of fighting over resources." Torres nodded. "We gave them what we had. Knowledge, technology, and a better way to think about problems. And most importantly," Dr. Carter added, "we gave them hope. The galaxy had been stuck in the same patterns for centuries. We showed them that change was possible." Stone crossed his arms. "The old way was leading to disaster anyway. If we hadn't intervened, those three powers would have eventually destroyed each other and taken half the galaxy with them." Morrison looked down at the memorial again, reading names of people who had died fighting wars they didn't understand, using weapons they couldn't properly maintain, following leaders who cared more about power than lives. "Oracle," Morrison said. "Begin recording." Personal log, Captain Jake Morrison, 6 months after first contact with the new galactic civilization. The AI acknowledged the command. "We came to this galaxy 850 years ago to explore and learn. We found it broken, built on the ruins of our own people's work. Today, I watched alien children playing together in a space station. That represents everything we hoped to accomplish." Morrison paused, gathering his thoughts. "We didn't conquer the galaxy. We didn't force anyone to follow us. We just showed them that there was a better way to live. The galaxy chose to change because change offered them something they had never had before, a real future." He looked at his crew, the people who had helped him reshape civilization itself. "Humanity has returned to the galaxy, not as conquerors, but as teachers. We've learned that the greatest strength isn't the ability to destroy your enemies, but the wisdom to turn them into friends. The galaxy is no longer at war with itself. For the first time in centuries, there is peace." Morrison ended the recording and walked back to the viewing window. In the distance, he could see ships arriving from every corner of the galaxy. They came seeking knowledge, bringing gifts of art and culture, working together on projects that would benefit everyone. "So what's next?" Harper asked. Morrison smiled. "Next, we keep learning. The galaxy is big, and there's still so much we don't know about each other. We have new technologies,